Hi, everybody. I'm David, co-founder of roofrevenue.ai, a website where you can put in your address and tell exactly how much revenue you can earn from your roof in a matter of seconds. And this is the inaugural episode of our podcast called Roof Revenue. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Today is July 16th, 2025. There are just about 100 business days left for the residential solar tax credit of 30% to be in effect. So we have a goal of helping 100 families in the next 100 days. So reach out to us at roofrevenue.ai if you've been thinking about solar panels on your house or batteries, and we'll help you get started. And that's our mission. And in this episode, I'm going to give you a little overview of the book that I wrote called Roof Revenue: How Americans Are Cashing In on America's Power Problem. And also, I'll show you the website real quick. So let's go ahead and hop over to the website, and then we'll go over the book. So I'm going to share my entire screen with you. One moment. And here's the website. It's roofrevenue.ai. And you could just go ahead and put your address in here, 36 Maple Dell, Saratoga Springs. That's where I used to live over in New York. And hit enter. And in the top left right here, it shows me that this house can generate $62,000 from solar panels over the next 25 years. So again, you could put in any house you want, your address, whatever it is, just put it in on the homepage, and it'll give you indication about how much you can earn. Now, we've evaluated over 1,500 panel properties with this website, and we found a potential of $150 million for both residential and commercial property owners that they could earn from solar panels. And it's pretty impressive and pretty amazing. But remember, the 30% residential tax credit ends December 31st. So you want to get in on this soon. Now, let me review for you a little bit of the book that explains about why this opportunity is possible. So again, the book is called Roof Revenue: How Property Owners Are Cashing In on America's Power Problem. So you might be wondering, what is America's power problem? So as I mentioned, our goal is to help 100 families in 100 days. So we're going to talk about the problem, solution, an example, and have Q&A in the chat comments below here on our YouTube channel. So let me ask you, why do you think this California utility is offering free solar and batteries to its customers? Well, it's because they know that their electricity is not reliable. It goes out. They have to turn it off. When there's too much load or it's too hot outside, they have to turn it off. And they want their customers to have electricity, especially those with medical conditions. So they're offering free solar and batteries. Now, here's a utility in Connecticut that's offering 31 cents a kilowatt hour for 20 years for all the electricity you could generate on your roof. That's pretty impressive. That's what we call a power purchase agreement. And it's pretty nice to have 31 cents a kilowatt hour for 20-year contract, solid roof revenue coming from the utility. Here in Austin, where I live, we have at least 4 solar programs: $2,500 for residential solar rebate, and 50 cents a watt for a commercial rebate, 90 cents a watt for nonprofit rebate. And then there's another program called the standard offer where they'll pay, this is similar to the Connecticut program, where they'll pay 11 cents a kilowatt hour for anything that's generated on a roof. The difference between the 50 cents and the 90 cents is that goes to property owners who pay for the solar panels themselves, where the 11-cent program is if you allow a third party to come in and put a solar system on your roof, they'll get paid by the utility this 11 cents, and they'll share a portion of that revenue with you, the property owner. So let's talk about the problem. You probably heard by now, data centers, electric cars, electrification of everything is doubling demand for electricity. That's one problem. The other problem is that there are transmission constraints. In other words, moving the power from where it's generated to where it's consumed is very expensive. So as you can see from the 3 examples I gave, roof revenue, in other words, generating solar locally from solar, generating electricity locally from solar panels, is the solution that the utilities are paying for. So let's dive a little deeper. Here in Texas, the demand is going to double in 7 years and potentially outpacing the supply. By doubling in 7 years, that's up to 51 million homes worth of electricity. Now, that's not all going to come from homes. A lot of it is data centers and manufacturing centers. In any case, it's a lot of electricity. So they're looking for ways to generate as much electricity as possible here in Texas and around the country. Secondarily, moving electricity from supply to demand is expensive. So you can see here in the blue, that's where electricity is really cheap because that's where it's produced. And in the red, it's really expensive because that's where it's consumed. And there's transmission fees, and there's also congestion fees that the utilities have to pay to move that electricity. And they want to reduce those costs. That's why they're incentivizing local solar power generation from your roof. Just like you see here. Generating electricity near the demand is cheap relative to bringing it in from hundreds of miles away. Now, a lot of people talk about rooftop solar as only benefiting the property owner where the solar is, and that's simply just not true. The reason is that as we reduce our load, the utility has less need to invest in new power plants and new transmission and new distribution lines. So one way to reduce the load is to generate the electricity locally. Another way to reduce the load, which you might hear as demand response programs, is to turn off the lights or turn off the machines or turn down your thermostat. All those things reduce the load and therefore reduce the capital expense that the utility has to spend, which is a primary driver of what's driving up the cost of electricity around the country, is the capital expense that they have to spend to improve their infrastructure. Now, another benefit for everyone who's getting electricity, not just the people that have solar, is that we have grid resiliency because we have distributed generation. So you can imagine if we have only 2 or 3 sources of electricity and one goes out or a line to one goes out, then we're cut off from that source. If we have lots of sources distributed throughout the city, we can have lots of ways to move that power around and get it to where it needs to be. It's more resilient. Of course, solar panels don't produce any pollution, so it provides cleaner air. Solar panels do not require any water. They simply get cleaned by the rain. And so unlike gas and coal and nuclear plants, which require a lot of water, solar panels do not require any. And the people that put the solar panels on the roof generally live local to where that's being done. So it helps the local workforce. Now, here are some financial definitions that we'll get into tomorrow when we talk with Scott on the podcast. And this is where I'm going to just wrap it up today and say tomorrow's going to be a big day where you're going to learn all about the financials of why we believe roof revenue is a great return on investment for you. So I'm just going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll end the screen share. Once again, I'm David from roofrevenue.ai. Please visit our website, put in your address, see how much money you can make from your roof, and then use the contact form, give us a call. We're here to answer your questions. Go over to the blog, check it out. Go over to the shop, check out my new book. It's actually free for a few weeks. So if you check it out now, click that buy button and you'll get it for free. You'll just be able to download it. We give you lots of details about what's happening in the electricity grid, what's going on with this. Well, we'll talk about the new legislation in another podcast. But in general, this trend of the problem that the grid is having with a lot of demand growth and maintenance keeping up is a huge trend that's been going on for a long time, and the book covers a lot of those details. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.